Hi, I'm Rachel.
And I'm Mary Jane. We're so excited that you're here. Whether you're joining us for the first time or you're back again,
We desire that you feel uplifted and challenged, but mostly that you are invited into a conversation that will enable you to develop deeper connections with those you do life with. So grab your favorite beverage and join us at Connection with Purpose. Hello, welcome back, friends. We hope that you have enjoyed the study on hospitality. That is what we are currently on. Before we jump into the other questions that we have, if you would please read the verse again, which is in 1 Peter 4:9.
be hospitable to one another without grumbling. 1 Peter 4:9.
All right, and so we're going to jump into how did the Holy Spirit move? And I've already alluded to this. Really, the Holy Spirit stomped on my toes. Like this week, I had an inner battle. I behaved like a teenager. And basically, this idea of conviction of the heart of silent grumbling. Like, I am a very good silent grumbler. And it's probably, unfortunately, eked out more than I care to admit. But this idea of an internal sigh or feeling like I've been put out when somebody needs help. And ultimately, I think what it was is that I stopped remembering who I was doing it for. And it was rather, and I say that from like a spiritual standpoint. Like when somebody asks for help, sometimes, again, obviously there is a balance to everything. It's not just, well, I'm going to drop everything and go and do it. Sometimes it is, but ultimately it's for Christ. And that's what I meant by who is it for? And that's where, again, Christ really just kind of spoke to my heart because on the one hand, he was like, yeah, but if Mary Jane called and was like, hey, Rachel, can you go do? I'd be like, yeah, of course. He's like, but what if this person did it? Sorry, Lord. I'm sorry. And so that's really, again, the biggest area that I would say that the Holy Spirit was moving in my heart of just, Rachel, you've taken the focus off of what this is really for in a big picture sense. And I think that's where, again, he was like, you need to be willing and open just because it's not the way that you would necessarily do it. And again, like I'd already shared with her ahead of time, I do believe that there is a balance. So again, just because somebody else is in an emergency situation, it doesn't necessarily dictate my immediate response. But at the same time, I shouldn't walk into something going, okay, fine, I'll do it. Right? Because we talked about that spiritual value. Well, that went away. That helped no one. And so, and especially if it's verbal or even physical. And I will say that in some regards, being on stage, and that's where, again, the Lord was just like, nope, we're going to go just straight to your heart. Like, we're just going to talk there because I'm pretty good at keeping an outward appearance of like, yeah, I got that. Sure. And yet my heart is the internal sigh. And my heart is, but this isn't what I had planned. And so for me, that definitely was where the Holy Spirit was working in my life. We've talked about this before, but be open, right? If somebody is like, hey, how can I help? What can I do? How can I help you in this situation? Like, we have to be willing to be vulnerable. And that's hard. Like, I'm not going to try to sugarcoat that.
Do something that I can't do.
What if your soon-to-be friend asks if you'll ice cookies for an engagement, and I've never done it before, and I was like, oh, cookies.
Again,
All right.
that theater face. I would have had no idea that she had never done that.
I can't believe what she's asking me, but okay, I hope these don't turn out.
Sugar cookies. I'd have been happy if they had sprinkles on top of them.
She had never seen anything. I have no artistic ability whatsoever. We made it through. It was great.
Your cookies
It
were
was
cute,
fine.
and they tasted delicious. That's the most important thing.
But seriously, you get to learn just a little bit more about who you are and you get to experience something that you wouldn't have had otherwise. And I think that that's the other element of it is that again, a part of it was that after that, there was a beautiful friendship
Yeah.
that came from that, just from that little bit. Like, I'm genuine when I say that. I was like, yeah, like I can't believe she trusts me enough for this. Like, wow. Like all of a sudden I was like, all right, cool.
And it's very hard for me to ask for help, which is so
See, and I wouldn't
funny.
have known that.
It's so
Yeah.
funny that brought us together.
Yeah.
But
So,
I mean, like, because I'm not genuinely one to ask for help.
right. But God knew. Like God, and
Look at that.
and that's what I mean. Like, I genuinely do. Like, you have to be willing to put it out there for somebody and in turn be genuine, right? Because I think sometimes we'll just rewind to that moment. Had I been like, "Oh, well, I can't really do that," you probably wouldn't have asked anybody for anything.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so I
True.
think you have to recognize that sometimes your response and maybe you do have to be real in that moment. I could do it. Like, it was more of just me, like, not thinking that I had the skills that she needed to be able to do it. It was nothing about sugar
Those of you who
cookies.
don't know, I do decorate cakes. So
Yeah, and I did know that.
that put a level of pressure on
I
her,
did.
probably.
I did. I was like, I knew that she made these gorgeous and I was like, "Oh, okay, Lord." I was like, channel my inner mother. My mom can do beautiful things like that. And again, it worked out. But all of that to say, it it's just if I had had something ridiculous going on, rather than saying, "Ooh, I don't think I could do that," be willing to then say, like, "I can make the cookies." Like, again, is probably what I should have done, but didn't. And it's fine because it all worked out. But then rather than just shutting it all down, right, of just saying like, "Hey, I'd be more than happy. How many do you need? Like, if you wanna make beautiful decorations, then here, I have supplied all of the cookies." But that's what I mean by that. Like, it might be that somebody asks you to do something and you're like, "Ooh, I cannot," but you can do something.
But if you don't have time to do something, I think that's where, because if someone had said that and then that person was vulnerable and shared something that they needed and you couldn't do it, rewinding that and saying, "I have this day available.
Yeah,
what can I do for you on that day?" If you know what your schedule
right.
looks like and you don't want to put yourself out there where they'll ask for something that you can't do, think about your schedule. Think about what's going on, what day you could do it,
Yeah.
and offer that day to do whatever they need, or
Yeah.
to do a meal, or to bring
Yeah,
paper products by, or
exactly,
to
that's a
do.
very good point. Like, I might not be able to decorate cookies, but I can take your dinner. Like, now you don't have to prepare, and you have all that time to do whatever it is that you need to do. So, absolutely.
So I think there's ways that we can be hospitable without, losing the balance that we need for
Mhm.
who we are,
Yeah.
and filling given from an empty cup, thinking about what you can do, offering it,
I
giving them
I
options.
don't give I don't and there's something beautiful about it too because I never take any credit for those cookies. I'm like, "Oh, that was the Lord." Like, and I mean that, like, in my heart. Like, I didn't look back on that and go, "Well, I made great cookies." It
I
was,
did that with a wedding cake one time.
"The Lord helped me through this."
God, get me through this, and I
Yeah.
will never make another one again.
And so that and again, if you guys need sugar cookies, I feel much more confident now in my abilities, so hit me up. But all of that to say that I think sometimes too, the Lord just stretches us to say, "Yes, you can do it," but then again, it forces us to say, "Yeah, that was him."
I feel like my whole life God has, like, tried to get me out of my comfort zone. Like, "You don't wanna do that?"
Here you go.
I think I told my boss that the other day, and she remembered that, because I said, "My partner forces me to get out of my comfort zone."
I was just gonna say that. I was like, "You should have never become friends with me." I am the queen of getting people out of their comfort zones.
I was like, "Oh, my soul." And so, because I really wouldn't be on camera, I really wouldn't be singing on camera.
I love it. I love it.
There's so many things I would not be doing, but I feel like my whole life God has really, and that's when I dig my feet in the most, because I'm like, "I'm not capable.
Yeah.
What do you got me doing this? I don't
Right?
know."
What about for you?
I have no poker face.
Her and
So,
I are very different in that way.
so if I don't want to do something, it's probably written all over my face. So I am not silently grumbling. I am out loud grumbling because I was really convicted about thinking about other people's needs above my own in terms of, I'm not going to lie, the season of life has been really challenging. And in terms of, I have adult children
Mhm,
um, who still need things.
mhm.
I have a teenager, almost teenager, who needs things.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm really quick to say no.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm also working 3 jobs. So
Right. That's
there
what I mean by
there is a
balance.
balance in the season
Yes.
of life, but I feel like we had this conversation the other day at work, and I was like, "I'm just not really good at seeing what other people need." I mean, sometimes God will prompt me, thank you,
Right.
but
Right.
do I look for opportunities to be a blessing to other people?
Well, and here's the thing that, again, the Holy Spirit also reminded me of. Have you ever had a moment in which you fully surrendered and you're like, can't wait to do this for this individual? And then later you were like, well, that was a waste. And for me, the answer was no.
Yeah.
And so, really, I'm taking away joy and, again, spiritual value that I'll never know this side of eternity from something that presents itself. And but again, like you said, there is an element too of, and we've been working on this at home. So I'll say that, of where does consideration meet responsibility? Because I need to raise humans who are responsible and also considerate, who then again think about others. The
Mhm.
fact that, can you walk into a home and take your shoes off right there in the middle of where everybody else walks? You can if you're the only one living there, but the rest of us need to walk there. And so it's things like that that I think I really struggle with, because I want I think there's an element, and I think I can say this with a truthful heart. There is an element behind, I want you to be better. I want you to see how that action can be, perceived by others, because I genuinely would want somebody to do the same for me. Like, I would want somebody to say, "Rachel, I don't think you realize that that comment could hurt somebody." That you may have meant it as maybe a lighthearted off, just flip, and yet I saw a visible reaction, because like you, I am not tuned to people's reactions and how they perceive things. I don't pick up on those as well. And so I just I think we need people like that. And so I struggle with where, because sometimes the Holy Spirit will prompt you to say something, and sometimes you're like, not my job." Like, I don't think that the person hearing it would hear it in the way it needs to be heard,
Yeah.
is maybe the right way to say that. And so that's why I say that I feel like there's a balance.
There is a balance, definitely. But and the other thing, like in my study Bible off of this was so good. Hospitality allows the light of God's sun to shine from your heart. And somebody, I was talking to them the other day and they're like, "You just bring so much joy." And I was
Mm.
like, I was able to use that as a, I got the joy of Jesus.
Yeah.
Like we should be doing all things to the glory of God.
Mhm.
Whether we are being hospitable in our home, whether we're taking a meal to somebody in need, if we're going and doing laundry for a friend, whatever it is, we should be doing that to glorify God
Right.
and to bring light to who Jesus was. Jesus was serving and ministering and suffered to the cross. Are our crosses so heavy that we can't do the things that God has called us to do? I love to serve. And I think that sometimes I do it with a good heart and a good attitude, and other times, especially after a long day at work, and then I have to go do something else
Yeah.
for ministry. And God really again spoke to me about seeing other people's needs instead of my own.
Mm.
Like that's how my flesh feels.
And yet, there is a it's important to recognize that we can't pour from an empty cup too.
Right.
So that's where I would say, like, I think I'm maybe a little bit concerned about somebody who hears this in the sense of you can try to keep pouring and pouring and pouring, but if you have nothing to pour, something is going to give. And so it's important to have people in your life that can also see it from maybe an outside perspective and say, like, no, I understand. Like this is a difficult situation. And yet let's try to set that aside because wherever we're walking into, those people have nothing to do with what just happened. And
Mhm.
so that's maybe switch and why it's so important to have people around us because then we are able to be like, I get you." Like, I'm not gonna say, like, "That wasn't a bad situation, but we'll talk about it." Like, and then, again, being able to set it aside, not that we're not going to not that we're trying to ignore it, but rather just that we're setting it aside so that we can be open to, like what you said, because we have no idea. We have no idea what occurred in somebody else's life.
Well, and sometimes it's not about, "Oh, well, I don't have time to do this." Maybe that's not what they need.
Yeah, it's true.
And maybe it's I feel like this would be what needs to happen, but there have been there have been times when I'm like, "I don't have time to make a meal, but I'll bring you paper products and laundry
Yeah,
soap and whatever because you're gonna have more people in your house."
right.
Like,
Yeah,
so really thinking about it's not just maybe just doing what you can do is exactly what they need,
yeah,
And so
yeah.
I think sometimes we like put these big ideas,
Gestures. Yeah,
gestures, and maybe it's just something simple.
yeah,
And so I think sometimes we want to make the big gorgeous meal or whatever and throwing lunch meat sandwiches and cheese out
right.
and bread makes everybody really happy.
Yeah, it's so true. That is a very true statement.
I mean, maybe it's not a meal, maybe
Yeah,
it's something else.
right.
Maybe it's I got half an hour, can I come do your laundry? Whatever
Yeah,
it is,
yeah.
do what you can do with the gifts that God has given you.
And I always try as best I can to make the songs correlate with what is being discussed in the verse. It doesn't always come out that way, but one of the songs on the list this week is Build Your Kingdom Here by I think it's Rend Collective. Build your kingdom here. Fill this atmosphere. Set our hearts on fire. There's this idea of coming together and being on fire for Christ. And I think that that in turn allows us to be open and hospitable. Another one that I put on here is Family of God by the Gaithers. I'm so glad I'm a part of the family of God. I've been washed in the fountain, cleansed by his blood. Join heirs with Jesus as we travel this side. For I'm
For
part of
of
the
the family
family
of
of God. And then another one that it hasn't taken off yet. I've been listening to the future hits on Caleb. And so it's on there. And so I will not be surprised if it's one that's blasted all summer, but it's Days God Gave. And basically it's hold on to these moments, the times they go so fast. And basically it's talking about how make a million memories with the people that you love so that when you look at the photographs and those smiling faces, you can say, I didn't let the days that God gave me get away. And so that's the idea of days God gave. And I'm like, oh, this is so good. Like, yes, like this is what it's about. And so and that is like that ultimately of just this is what God's given us. This is,
right.
what we have is such a short time here on earth. And so if we can keep that in our minds, again, it makes those moments that maybe don't go the way that we planned or when somebody asks us to do something, it makes it a little bit easier knowing that God knew it.
Yeah.
Like, this is what he gave us. And so
Well, and that makes me think of so my uncle recently passed away, and there was such a beautiful testimony of how much he served from people all over.
yeah,
And I was like, that should be all of our desires as Christians. Like that we gave so much to serve others. And I was like, that memory song, that's what made
yeah.
me think
No,
of
I
that. I was
you're
like,
gonna hear it this summer. Yeah, you're gonna hear it this summer, and you're gonna feel that exact way. Like, it is such a good song, and it's again, it's just one of those, like, feel good kinda summer songs, and the writer's great. So, anyway, those are the different songs. I encourage you to check out the playlist and add yours. When we think of hospitality, what's a song that comes to mind or that you love to play even when you
come
wanna
and
be
dine.
hospital? Yeah, there you go. Come and
Come and
dine.
dine.
That's right.
That's what that's one I like to play, and
I love it.
I do
Yes.
like to like to sing that one too.
That's a great one. Moving on to our practical application, what were some of the things that you put down that would help you be practical?
I put down that being hospitable is more than entertaining,
We alluded to that at the very beginning.
and giving and serving unto the Lord is part of being hospitable. And how do you do that in tough seasons of life when you feel like you have nothing left to give? And so, really convicting. I'm not gonna
It
lie.
is. It really
Um,
is.
but how can I then look for opportunities around me, see people in need? There are so many people in need,
Yeah.
so many people who need prayer, so many people, and it kind of goes back to the verse and kind of where it was at. And I feel like we're kind of there now
Mm.
in terms of be serious and watchful,
Yeah.
love fervently.
Yeah.
I want to be loved fervently.
Mm.
Other people want to be loved fervently and know that they matter. There's so much
Yeah.
depression and in the world. And I think if we are loving, truly loving people the way Christ loved people, they should know they're loved fervently. And some people are more lovable than others. And that's where my practical
Yeah.
application is like, eh.
Yeah.
And yes, love will cover a multitude of sin. But sometimes, our first ministry is in our home in terms of practical
Absolutely.
application and being a servant to the people that are around us. Sometimes that's a challenge, and sometimes I'm quick to say no. And so the practical application is how can I look for ways to give and serve others?
Mine was an attitude check because it was again, as the Holy Spirit was like, hello. But I just said, practice radical transparency with yourself. If you find yourself complaining about the mess, the cost, or the last minute request, pause and pray for a heart of joy rather than obligation.
Ooh.
And just like, Holy Spirit, you already know I don't want to do this. I mean, be real, right? Like he already knows what's in your heart. Your prayer isn't
You're
it's
not faking him out.
you're not gonna fake him out. You're like, I wish this would have come last week because it would have been a lot easier for
That is
me.
never how things happen. Just so
And
everybody's aware.
I just need to know that you have a reason for this. So keep my heart open because you know
Mm.
why it needed to happen at this moment. And you know why this request is being asked of me. So provide. Because I think we do that too. I think
Mhm.
sometimes we forget that he knew this was coming. So why don't you ask him for the provision? Like maybe you can't afford whatever, fill in the blank. But we've heard stories about how God drops things off for somebody just right in the nick of time. And I'm not saying that that's always going to happen. And we've alluded to this before. I never got the here's a check in the mail. Your bill for school has been covered. That was never me. But he was like, guess what? Here's a job. When you walk out of here, you will not only have job experience, but it'll also be paid for. So
Mm.
sometimes it doesn't always come in the way that we think it would. It doesn't come in maybe the packaged way that we would want.
Yeah.
But I think too often we automatically assume that it's all on us and we don't go before him and say, "How are you gonna provide? Show me how you will provide in this situation and how this is going to work." And I think that would make a huge difference.
Well, and I think that we also have to be reminded of what was after that verse, where as you receive, minister to others. If God asks you to give something, you better be doing it.
Yeah. Well, and it's
And
again,
depending,
it's
it could be time, it could be money, it could be,
and right, but do it because he has something incredible for you.
yeah,
Like
not for
that's
praise of others.
not for the praise of others, not because it's somehow gonna, come back to you like the, idea of karma, something along those lines. Like that's not, it's just the sheer joy
Mhm.
of being able to, again, provide, even if it's just a place for kids to be kids. Like now they get that opportunity. So anyway, I agree. Switching over to our coaching connection. What do we have for this week?
Well, for this week, we had sharing food,
Love it.
which I was kinda chuckling to myself
Ooh,
because I
sorry.
think there's two ways we could think about this.
Mhm.
One is sharing food could mean just bringing people together.
Mm,
It fosters connection, it builds trust and community, it improves your mental health. Who knew, right?
yeah.
And it reduces isolation. The thing that I appreciate so much is some folks that are so kind to my mother who take her out to lunch on Sundays,
Yeah.
and she looks forward to that, and it reduces her isolation.
Yeah.
She lives alone, she doesn't drive. And so again, that's not only sharing food,
Yeah.
but it's also conversation and,
Mm,
all the things that come with that, and it improves mental health.
yeah.
Theirs, hers, everyone's. So
I
again, that's one way to look at sharing food.
Yeah, I was gonna say this in the last part when you were talking about just this idea of isolation and people that they need to be beloved. I heard a statistic the other day that just broke my heart, and that was the number one thing that AI is used for, and that is friendship, it's companionship.
I know.
And
And
I
it's
was just like,
scary.
"Oh," it broke my heart that we can't that we're not in a society in which we feel like we can go out and have that interaction with people. I
Mhm.
don't know, I was just like, "That just hurt."
Absolutely. And they are asking for advice and
Mhm,
doing all this other things where if you have built up friendships and mentorships and
mhm.
other things, that is certainly, I mean, having dates with your kids or
Yeah,
even adult children, having time together one on one could be over food, but could be over coffee, whatever. That connection that comes with that is so very important. And that's where we need to talk about putting down our phones and being mindful and present while we are there. I mean, I've seen people out at dinner and every single
yeah.
person is on a device and there's no conversation. I mean, that's why we put connection questions in things is so that you have a conversation starter so you can start your own conversations with other people. If you need any suggestions on those, please
I'm
feel free to reach out to us.
honestly, these have been fantastic to ask my kids. I know that we've talked about some of the other ones, but I really have enjoyed listening to some of their responses because sometimes it's not what I think it would
Right.
be. And so it really is. It's fantastic.
And so that is one thing when we talk about sharing food. The other thing is portion sizes.
Mhm.
If you are someone who eats out a lot because that is your lifestyle, you can think about sharing food in terms of portion sizes.
Yeah.
Most restaurants are serving 3 and 4 times, especially pasta dishes, things like that.
Mhm.
And so, really thinking about sometimes if my husband and I are not very hungry and we're out, it's like, well, I don't know if I can eat that.
Honestly, the only time that I feel maybe obligated is the right term for it, to eat an entire meal is if we're, like, in the midst of travel, so I can't take it back somewhere, like, it would spoil.
Yeah.
But I'm almost always taking leftover I love that part. I'm like, "Ooh, good, I get to have a meal now and later."
And
Yes.
yeah, and so
Mm.
some people aren't leftover people, or
Yeah,
they would never eat it, so
yeah.
they leave. And some people are really good about leaving tons of food on their plate
Mm,
and walking away from a restaurant. I am not.
mm-mm.
I'm from the Clean Plate
I was like,
Society.
I couldn't do it. I'd be like,
And
"Box that
so
up."
if I can't, or if you're looking for saving calories, if you're a clean plate person, you can always ask for them to box half of it up before they bring it to your table.
Mm.
And so that way you can clean your plate and take stuff home.
I
So
also feel like too restaurants, I mean, not your, like, chain restaurants, maybe some of them would absolutely do that, but I feel like they're starting to offer smaller portion, like, you can get a
you
small
can
or
get
a
the lunch
large.
size. Can I get the
Yeah,
lunch size?
yeah,
Can I get some of them have light fare?
yeah.
So think about those options, but sharing is good
Yeah.
too, in terms of if you want a dessert, maybe decide on the whole table. What would
Yes,
everybody like
yes.
and splitting it
Yeah.
to save that portion. So I would say those are some strategies
Yeah.
that I have used when my kids were little. I used to split meals with them.
Mhm.
So I could and then that saved me a ton of calories.
Yeah,
But now, my 12-year-old eats
yeah,
more than I do. So
exactly. Those
even
days are gone.
those days are gone, or I'd get a crumb. I might get a few french fries and that would be it.
Nothing.
So
Mm,
anyway, that's just some things to think about. One, to improve your mental health, to share a meal with
mm,
others. Um, and then two, if you're looking at sharing food literally,
mhm.
that can save you a ton of calories.
There you go. I love it. Well, our top 5 goes in perfectly with this, and of course, our topic as well, and that is the top 5 entertaining tips, and I will be 100% honest, some of these I stole. Some of them I have not done, but I was like, "Oh, that's good, I like that." So, number 5 is that, and I'm definitely going to implement it, and that was a signature scent. Simmer a pot of water with cinnamon sticks, citrus peels,
I
and rosemary on the stove, or light a light, subtle candle near the entrance to set the mood immediately. I think it's so easy to forget that we become nose blind to our own smells in our home. And so, if you just have something that's automatic that feels inviting for people, then it makes a huge difference. So, I was like, I like this. I try this the next time. So
As
that
long
was
as
number
nobody's
5.
allergic to cinnamon.
True.
I do have family that is sensitive to that, so we have to be very careful about that if
Yeah.
they're coming over. But that was just like I made brownies today.
I did. Yes,
And then
I
she
was
walked
just
in,
gonna
"Your
say
house
that. I was
smells
like,
amazing."
"Oh, this is great. It's fantastic."
Don't make brownies before people come if you're not gonna share.
Mm,
That's
or
probably not
2, it's
nice.
fine. I love the smell of it. A brewed coffee, that's the other thing, like, I don't care. Like, I
Mhm.
love the smell of brewed coffee.
Absolutely.
It's wonderful.
I
Alright,
agree.
number 5 for you.
I put down to prep as much ahead of time as possible. That was one of my strategies for entertaining, is that if I know I'm having people, I try to do as much ahead of time as possible, especially if I know I'm running in, I could be late because of work, and
Mm,
I'm running
yeah,
in, and then I'm gonna have a house full of people.
right.
So again, it depends on your situation, or if you know you have other obligations beforehand and then people are
Mhm,
coming to your house, whatever you can do to prep ahead of time, but that also goes into thinking about your menu
yeah.
too, like, what are we gonna have? Is it gonna be things that I can prepare ahead of
Well,
time?
that's what I was just gonna say is that I think sometimes we forget, and again, it might fall into that whole leftover idea of like some people really think that it doesn't taste as good. I say throw it in a pan. Throw it in a pan with a little bit of olive oil, 5 minutes, and it tastes like you just made it. Like whatever it is. And so that's where I would say like it is okay to prep even the
Sure.
night before and put it in your fridge, but then just before it's time, get it out and make sure that it is all thoroughly reheated and ready
Well,
to
I
go.
do that at Christmas. So my breakfast casserole can be frozen
Yeah.
and can be put in the refrigerator.
Yep.
So either way, if because Christmas is just stressful
It's
anyway,
crazy.
right? Um,
Ours isn't. I'm thankful for that.
ours is.
I'm so thankful. Like we decided early on Christmas was going to be relaxed for our family.
And so typically I'm making things ahead of time before the
Yeah.
kids get here
Yeah.
because
Because you
I
want to enjoy.
I want to
Yeah,
enjoy.
you want to sit down and
And
enjoy. You don't
yeah,
want to be
I
stuck
want
in
to
the
have
kitchen.
conversation.
Yeah.
That's also why we built our house the way we did, was because I was tired of being stuck in the kitchen while everybody else was out visiting in the other room.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, exactly. Number 4 for me, I put the easy rule. That's what I termed it. Even simple store-bought snacks look elevated when transferred to a nice bowl or plate, and you want to avoid having somebody have to reach in and get something because just I don't know, there's just something about that. You're like, I mean, you hope everybody follows proper, but especially if there's kids involved, it's like, I won't touch that. I have kids, and I know, no, thank you. So it's just, again, it just makes it look elevated. Yeah, exactly. It just makes it look elevated, and if there's a spoon or something that they can use or tongs or whatever to get it out, then it just I put again easy. It's easy for people to get to is kind of the idea behind that. What about you, number 4?
I put low stress options.
See, it kinda goes along the
Goes
same
along with what you
lines.
had.
Yeah.
But I put some of my best memories of Sunday night at a friend's house was she was just throwing meat and cheese on the table with bread or crackers.
Yeah.
And it was just about visiting. And that was when Tom and I were not together yet or just kind of getting together. So, but that is some of my best memories of
Yeah.
and how easy that was.
Yeah.
And I would have never done something like that. And that just really stood out to me that think about low stress options, like she said. Throw it on a platter, throw it on a plate. Charcuterie boards are huge right now.
I also have been known to put, like, tissue paper down on it because again, makes it look fancy, but then cleanup's a breeze, so there's that too.
Or butcher paper,
Or butcher paper,
lots of
yeah.
options,
Yeah,
parchment paper, whatever.
exactly. Number 3, I put temperature control. This is people are always I get comments all the time. "You have 4 pressure cookers? I do. They're also slow cookers, and it's fantastic because I can keep foods hot in a slow cooker on warm, and then you can also nestle bowls in a larger tray of ice to keep everything fresh for hours. So, that's my tip. All right, so number 3 for you.
I put and I learned this a long time ago, was to keep the front areas of my house clean if nothing else was clean, because then if guests pop in, I don't have to stress out and worry. And so that has been something like if I'm resetting at night, it's just the places where people see.
Yeah,
Everything else I can close doors.
yeah,
And so, really, that was something that I hadn't really thought of in terms of being a young mom or whatever, is that I kept things picked up in this. But I have other friends who don't care,
yeah,
and you can come in their house no matter what it looks like. So,
yeah,
again, depending on who you are
exactly.
and what you are comfortable with, that could be a good strategy for always being ready to entertain.
What about number 2?
Number 2 for me was it's okay to buy things already prepared, especially if you're short on time.
I was just gonna say, like, I just don't know how you manage unless you buy things like I mean, I think about the time that I have in my day and how much time it takes to, again, prepare for something like that, and I go to work, but it's such a short amount of time that I'm like, I don't know how I genuinely am like, I don't know how anybody who works a full-time job would entertain.
Thank you. That makes me feel so much better.
You do I mean that. I genuinely do.
I mean, sometimes it's about buying things ahead of time
Yeah.
or buying veggies already prepped
Yeah.
or buying a veggie tray instead of trying to make it yourself. Spending the extra couple of dollars sometimes saves you just some sanity.
Or, and I'll just throw this in there too, asking your host what you can bring.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Sometimes they say
don't
nothing.
yeah, but don't be afraid to ask because again, it does make a huge difference when you're like, "You know what? That's one less thing. It's one less thing mentally I have to prepare for and that from a time perspective, I have to try to get done."
And one of the things I always forget is drinks.
See, and that's number 2 on my list. So I put down batch your beverage. Instead of playing server all night, prepare a signature punch, a large dispenser of infused water, and allow your guests to serve themselves. Because it would take away, like we've already indicated, it would take away from the conversation and just constantly feeling like you have to fill somebody's cup. throughout the evening. So I typically, in case you're wondering, I typically do tea, lemonade, and water. So those are the things that I usually have. I usually don't put anything in my water just because, again, of any aversions that people might have or allergies to things. So I
She
feel
makes
like those
almond
three.
tea too.
I do. That's the one that I get lots of people who really, the people who like unsweet tea like it because it's not super sugary, and people who like sweet tea like it because it has just enough sugar not to be bitter, where they feel like unsweet tea is just straight up bitter. So it's very good and very easy. So anyway, that's my number 2. What about number 1? Number 1.
Number 1, I use my crock pot as much as possible.
Yes. It's true.
I mean, or Instapot or whatever
Yeah.
that you like or feel comfortable with, but really, if I can put it in a slow cooker.
Yep.
And my husband's aunt got me this great little pan that is like, a 9 by 13 pan that is like a crock pot.
Nice.
And so, like, for Christmas, I used it for lasagna.
Yeah.
Just
I love
set it in
that.
the pot, ready to go. It's
Yeah.
baked, it's ready to go. I baked it in the oven, but I can put it on keep warm
Mhm.
in the slow cooker. I mean, there are things you could bake in it. And they laughed at me when I built my house because I'm like, I need plugins here, here, and
Mm.
here because we set our house up so it's like we can do buffet style.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
typically when we have 50 or so people here in our house, we're doing buffet style.
Mhm.
So we put the cups, plates, drinks, everything out in the kitchen, and then people just go around and get what they want.
Yeah.
And so there are crock pots plugged in all over the place
Yeah.
in there. So that is my stress-free entertaining.
Yeah.
And, usually I can put those things on before I go to work, especially if I'm like going to be crunched for time. If I get home at 5:30 and people are coming at 6,
Yeah.
sometimes like,
Yeah. Number 1, I put interactive elements, whether it's a quick icebreaker game, again, depending on the situation. Obviously, if it's family, if it's my father-in-law, absolutely, I try to have some sort of game. Again, anything that takes you out of being comfortable. But no, in all seriousness, just something that, especially if your group doesn't necessarily know each other, or even if they know each other but not super well, then I put down connection questions. Like, these are fantastic because, again, conversation should be easy and abundant, is what I put. Nobody wants to go over somewhere, well, unless you're in Myers, my husband's side, and just sit in silence. Like, we're just going to eat here in silence with one another. That's not typical. That's not typical. And if so, then you guys would just stay at your own homes. So, all of that to say that for me, if you're going to entertain, if nothing else, have a way for conversation to
Mhm.
freely flow. And again, it can be something super simple. At our last get together, I got to host our mom's night out, and I put on there this or that. And so one of them was hilarious because it was, would you rather have hot coffee in the summer or iced coffee in the winter? And you can change it to tea because there were some people that didn't drink coffee. But it was just funny how people were like, "This one, absolutely." And so it's just fun. It's just fun to
I would
see
be a
what
hot
people.
I would be a hot coffee in the summer.
Same. Like, I will take hot coffee all year long before iced coffee. I
In
mean,
the
iced
wintertime.
coffee is great, but yeah, no,
Not in
I'm
the
not
wintertime. When it's
not doing it.
-10 outside, I'm not drinking an iced coffee.
Not doing it. Yep,
Me neither.
exactly. So, what are some of your entertaining tips? What are some of the ways that make you feel welcomed? I think
Oh,
that's a really good
yeah.
way to ask that, of what do you appreciate when you go over to somebody's home and what has stood out to you? And then also let us know, how did the Holy Spirit move in your life? What are some practical ways that you can apply 1 Peter 4:9? And let us know. We look forward to seeing you back in 2 weeks. We don't know yet what it's going to be, but we will definitely have something new for you. And of course, next week will be a look back. So stay tuned to see what we look back to. Bye, friends.
We hope you enjoyed the conversation and can't wait to hear more.
If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe, like, and follow us at connectionwithpurpose.com so you never miss an episode. We love having you as a part of our community.
Until next time, stay connected because the best conversations are the ones that bring us closer together.